Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the number one undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark ROXEY.
What's up, what's up, what's up? This is your host, Mark ROXEY, and I am with my good friend and partner in crime, Mr. Harold Hunt. What's up, what's up, what's up, Harold?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Of course, I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, man, it's a beautiful day out here in Atlanta, man. The weather was on point. Beautiful.
What was the temperature out there?
60 degrees, and for us, that's really good. I mean, the clouds were gone, blue skies, quite nice. Yes.
60 degrees, man. We were a balmy 30 degrees up here in the Northeast. Definitely out here in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Delaware. We were like 30 degrees out here in this area. And but nevertheless, it's warm inside, and we are about to heat it up here on the Boxing Breakdown. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we are delighted that you are with us today. We are going to chop up and get into the recent event that Harold and I had the pleasure of attending with Mr. Don King, celebrating his 90th birthday out in, at the Packard Music Hall in Warren, Ohio. And then we're going to get into the recent bout with Keith Thurman and Mario Barrios and where Keith Thurman goes from here. And we will also chop up and break down Errol Spence versus Yordenis Ugas, and we will close the show with a review of the heavyweight landscape. So sit back, relax. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for being with us. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts, thanks for being with us. And we hope that you will enjoy this breakdown. And so, Harold, let's talk about the event that took place recently out in Warren, Ohio. Tell the fans what went down, bro.
Hey, Don King had a nice affair out there, but I need to preference everything by saying it was cold. I was out there, and it shocked me through my core, man. It was cold out there. It took my car like half an hour to get warmed up after I've driven it for a while to even get the heat going. But the card itself was great. I mean, he had a lot of people there. He had some major people there. He had the WBC was there, their head supervisor. WBA was there, their head supervisor. He had several fights there that were championship fights, be it mid-level titles. You had Harvey Dock in the ring as a referee. You had some notable people as judges. So what you had there was a Don King homecoming, if you will, and the mayor and the mayor of the city. They all got in and gave him accolades and what have you. But the fights were actually pretty good, and I was quite impressed. Now, our glorious leader, Mr. Mark ROXEY, was a cut man. And I'm sure we'll get into that later on, but he was heroic in his endeavor on that evening. So I'll leave it at that. But it was good fights, and the crowd was nice, and it was just a great outing.
Yeah, I concur, man. It was awesome. It was it was a long week. We were out there for a week. I was with Hamed Samir Hefny, who's a wonderful fighter, and we fought a young gentleman there that, was relatively big in stature and size, and it was somewhat of a mismatch. But man, I enjoyed myself out there, and yeah, the co-main event for Don King's return to greatness was actually Trevor Bryan for the WBA champion versus Jonathan Guidry. I don't know if you got a chance to see that fight. If you guys are listening in, it was a quite a great night of boxing. A lot of heavyweight bouts, and there was also a cruiserweight main event, which was Ilunga Makabu. Did I say that right?
Quite
Ilunga
close.
Makabu. Yeah, I'm doing my best I can against Tabishu Makuna. Tabishu Makuna for the WBC Silverweight champion. Well, he actually is the Silverweight champion. And it was quite a match. And Makabu did come away with the win. And there was some talk about him fighting Mr. Canelo Alvarez. Not sure what that was all about, what the hubbubaloo was about, but there was some chatter about that, and which brings me to the conversation real quick. I don't want to divert too much, but because it's really late breaking news as of today or yesterday that Canelo Alvarez was in talks with Eddie, with his trainer Eddie Reynoso, but then also DAZN and Eddie Hearn. Now, you want to talk a little bit about that, Harold?
Yes, just in a quick nutshell, he has a two-fight deal. The first fight is to be against Bivol for the 175-pound title, and the second one is to be against Golovkin for that trilogy. However, the ink is not dried yet, and Charlo has the opportunity to upstage Bivol. The numbers that are thrown at Canelo is 45 million guaranteed for Charlo. And Hearn hasn't disclosed what the numbers are going to be if he fights Bivol. He made 40 million in his last fight, Canelo, guaranteed. Wow. So for him to get 45 is a low number considering he has all the belts now, and he'll be fighting Charlo, and Charlo will move up from 160 to 168. Right. However, if he goes to 175, he'll be fighting for that one belt, and then he can start clearing out that division. So he has to decide what he's going to do. But the one that is in stone is a Golovkin a trilogy.
Wow! So this is really going to happen then, huh?
Yes.
Wow! And so what's this business about the 85 million for 2 fights?
Well, right now, the only dialogue and print out there that I know of, that I've seen on paper or in the articles and everyone I listen to and see and read or what have you, right now, the front runner is Bivol at 175 on Cinco de Mayo, and then come back with Golovkin. The only thing that may throw it in, like I said earlier, Charlo may get that bid instead of Bivol.
Right. Okay. So, more to come. I know that Hearn was quoted as saying that the negotiations are ongoing. So we don't really know specifically what's going to happen. Lots can transpire, but, there's $85 million on the table, man. 85 mil. That's a lot of money, guys. I just don't know what to say about that except, Harold, I'm not sure we'll ever see that kind of money, but you know what? Maybe we can play the lotto, right? Yeah, man. So that's good stuff, Harold. Let's move on to Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that fiasco.
Oh, you labeled it a fiasco. Oh.
All right,
well, hey, I thought he fought well. It was a safe fight, nice and safe. He didn't engage too much. He stayed where he needed to stay. He said, "I have to show A, B, C, and D to the fans, to the pundits, to the critics." So he did exactly that, and he's kind of stayed out of harm's way. Initially, as you know, I felt Barrios had no power for him. He wouldn't scare him anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
that wasn't even an issue. Although Thurman did come out and said, "Hey, if he hit me to the body, he could have dropped me, this, that, and the other." But that's after the fact. It's good for press,
Yeah.
and it makes Thurman look like he is a humble warrior and all of that.
Yeah,
But
and many have tried to hit him to the body. Listen, he's never gone down to the body. Everybody talks about how he has this weak body, and he's the first one to say, he doesn't really like getting touched to the body. But the truth of the matter still stands. He has never been down with a body shot, right?
yes, De La Hoya's been down with a body shot,
Well,
right?
De La Hoya, I'm talking about Thurman.
Yes, but I'm saying peak fighters of his ilk have been down with body shots, and
Oh, for sure.
you don't run around saying that they're are not a good. They don't take body shots well. You don't
Right,
say that,
right.
but with him, that's they label that on him. So I think that's an unfair label.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of naysayers out there for Keith Thurman for sure, and I think that, everybody needs a little cheat code, right? So if they can crack the code, look, Keith Thurman has made his statement that he's back in the 147-pound mix-up, right? So how far he goes, whether or not he gets a title shot, what the title shot would be, he's there, right?
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, they have to see him now just because he's in play. He does have a fan base. He can sell. And what's ironic is it, Mark, that the free portion that came on before the pay-per-view did
Yeah.
almost 1 million buys on regular television. Now that is
Wow.
encouraging all the way around, just for regular boxing fans, regular people, because that was on free TV and did almost 1 million. So
Right.
I don't know what the numbers are on his on his at the pay-per-view level, but the upcoming fight before that was great. So that just means that we got some things going on with boxing. It's getting back in the mainstream, and he was somewhat responsible for that. And that's what it was. So
Yeah.
he's a player.
No, he's definitely a player, man. I mean, he's ranked. I don't know exactly where he ranks, and actually, I don't think it really matters to him. He doesn't really care where he's ranked. He just cares that he gets a shot. He wants a title shot, right? He's right up there with Terrence Crawford, Yordenis Ugas, Virgil Ortiz Jr., Mikey Garcia, right? I mean, Jaron Ennis. He's up there with Jaron Ennis. I mean, there's a stacked division, and I see that Adrian Broner has slotted up there in the top 10 too. I think he's ranked maybe somewhere around 9 or 10 or 11, somewhere up in there, right? So Adrian Broner's in the mix, right?
Yes. However, Thurman can sell tickets. Boots can't sell tickets right now.
Yeah.
He can't, not right now, but Thurman can definitely sell tickets, and we know Adrian can sell tickets, no doubt about that. That's why he's still
Well,
ranked, because he
well,
is a good fighter, but he does capture the public's imagination. They will pay to see him.
yeah. So let's talk about this. I mean, in boxing, casuals as well as aficionados in the boxing industry definitely know that Jaron Ennis he's a player, man. He's in there. He's not. I mean, you said he can't sell tickets, but to be honest, like, he might not be able to sell tickets, but he could sell pay-per-views, because who doesn't want to see Jaron Ennis fight? I mean, like the
Well,
top guys, because everyone's talking about, even what's his name? Excuse me, I
Sean
apologize.
Porter.
Sean Porter even came out and was like, we don't even know what the guy can do. He hasn't been tested yet. I get that. I mean, those of you that are from Philly or the surrounding region, we know what our guy can do. We know what Jaron Ennis is able to produce. So, but he's right. I mean, the question is, can he produce at the highest level, and can he get past, the likes of these top guys like, Ugas? Can he get through Keith Thurman? Can he get to a Terrence Crawford? I mean, can he? And what will he look like when he's there? So I'm really excited to see him. And I quite honestly, I would pay to see that fight. I would pay to see Terrence Crawford and Jaron Ennis, even though it's a little premature. I would, because that's so I don't know about that ticket thing you just
Well,
said.
I've got to stand on the other side of the fence with you right now
Okay,
on
good.
Boots. Okay, now Boots doesn't have a belt of any type whatsoever.
Right.
He doesn't. He has no minor belt. He has no silver belt. He has no bronze belt. Whatever belt is out there, he doesn't have that. Okay, number one.
Okay.
Number two, he is in a situation where the public has enamored themselves to him so greatly because
Yeah.
of his reputation that has spread not on social media but through the boxing ranks. So he doesn't have that other than with the hardcore fans. He should be there. However,
Yeah.
he needs to have, in my opinion, a better situation with the casuals, and casuals don't really know who he is.
Okay.
So even a minor belt, NABF belt, any type of belt, he doesn't have that just because he just
Yeah.
hasn't been able to fight for that. Now, as far as the skill set concerned, yes, I would believe he could be there and this, that, and the other. And we just need to see that. I mean, he has a couple of decent wins. We know he knocked out his last one, and he had a good fight against Lipinets, which was great and all that. But we need to see more than that.
Yeah. Okay.
You,
So
please.
Harold, answer the question. Where does Keith Thurman go next? What is Keith Thurman going to do next? What's going to be presented to him? What does he do? What do you think?
Well, he's very safe right now. He didn't show any kind of crazy situations where he fell off so badly in this fight. So the networks, the promoters are going to say, okay, we can put him in there with some of the other ones who are up there. He's going to sell tickets. He's going to
Yeah.
carry the fight verbally. He's going to do all that. He's going to do everything he needs to do to get back where he was. He has a fan base who's reawakening because they missed him. I remember when I was hot on him, one time, and it was one time people going away. So
Yeah.
he's kind of back in the situation. So he's a nice, safe bet. If he loses the next fight, then he's in a situation where he could he won't be a gatekeeper, but he'll be someone who's going to test every time. So the door is wide open for him. I mean, it's wide open for him, I believe, at this
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
He can
Well,
sell tickets.
if you're tuning in on YouTube and you would like to make a comment and share your thoughts about who you think Keith Thurman should face next, please do so. Let us know. And if you're watching this after the original broadcast, chime in, get in there on the comments in YouTube and let us know. We appreciate your comments, and we want to know, who do you think Keith Thurman should face next? Who do you think he will face next? Those are not necessarily the same question. So, yeah, I mean, I'd love to see him fight, Virgil Ortiz. I'd love to see him fight your Dennis Ugas. I'd love to see that fight. Now, Ugas has got some business to take care of, so let's just jump right into it, man. Ugas,
And Spence.
What is the deal with Ugas and Spence? Talk to me.
Well, Ugas is very sturdy. He's going to be attempting to come forward, and we know Spence doesn't fight going backwards. So that's going to be interesting to see the first 3 or 4 rounds how it goes along. But the relentless, like the word escapes me right now, the constant pressure that Spence is going to apply, whether it's fundamentally sound, I mean, whether it's has bells and whistles, it's going to be very clean. It's going to be jab, jab, right hand, whatever the standard combination and aggression will be. He will be offering that over and over and over again. Now you can slip that and parry that and score on that, but after a while, the same thing is coming, but it's still coming. I just had to lock into Hearns and Leonard. Leonard could see everything Hearns was doing, but that jab kept coming. It kept coming. It kept coming. And he saw it coming. He could move and all, but he was still getting hit by it. And he had all the tricks and all the gal to get away from it, but he just couldn't because it kept coming over and over. And that's kind of how I see this fight panning out. I see Spence winning this fight on unanimous decision.
All right. Those of you tuning in, man, let us know what you think too. Like I have my thoughts about this fight, Harold. I think that it's going to be a very interesting fight. I think that Spence, of course, has the advantage in the fight slightly. I think this is a fight that comes down. I don't know. You let me know what you think. I think it's a fight that comes down to who has the better game plan. Because, certainly if, Ugas, we've seen some styles, some very unique styles now after watching the Pacquiao fight, etc. Some of the fights that Ugas has had recently. And, he can be aggressive. He's very successful when he's aggressive. But he also can mix things up to kind of slow the fight down and kind of make it a little tricky for Errol Spence. What do you think?
Well, the trickiness is going to be something that Earl's going to be able to handle. He'll see it coming. He'll see that he'll get countered, he'll get hit, and he'll get touched and what have you. But he knows that his bread and butter is continue to come forward, throw that jab, and set everything else up after that. Ugas is going to be the first one to go backwards. He does have a skill set to do that.
Wow.
I mean, he can hit going backwards and all that, but he's not going to be pressing Earl, and Earl's going to be fighting off the back foot. That is not going to happen. That's just something that's just not going to happen. And because of that, that's what we're going to see. Now, of course, if Crawford gets in there with Spence, Crawford's going to fight going off the back foot, and he'll be going forward. So, but he's excellent at both things. Now, I'm not saying Ugas isn't, but I'm just saying Ugas is going to be stepping back. He's not going to be coming forward as Errol does. Errol doesn't fight off the back foot at no time. At no time does he do that. He'll stay in the pocket if he needs to, and then he'll advance. Even if he's getting touched, he'll stay in the pocket before he's going to retreat and fight off the back foot. So that being said, and as a judge, I just simply see a long, grueling, unanimous decision with rounds in the bank, 7, 8 rounds to 4? Yes.
So it sounds, my friend, like you've got Errol Spence as our gallo rojos, right? You got the rooster, you got Errol Spence as our rooster, don't you?
Yeah. At this point, in my limited understanding, Mark.
Okay.
That's
well,
what
it's
I
not
have.
so limited. And but yeah, I can see that. I definitely think that, Errol Spence is going to have a little bit of the edge on the inside. I think that he's a really great body puncher. I think he's excellent on the inside and with that pressure. I also know that if Ugas applies that pressure, that would be I think that would be a good approach, but I think he needs to really mix it up. I think his fight has to be what I would call a diversified approach to the entire fight with a lot of ring adjustments to keep Spence thinking. He can slow down the fight that way and possibly give himself a good chance to win. But like you say, I definitely think that Errol Spence is the front runner on paper. You think it goes more than 7.5, or you think it goes more than 7.5 or less than 7.5 rounds?
I'll let you have that one. More 7.5, but common opponent being Sean Porter. Yeah. And if we look at the results of both of those fights, Sean had with Ugas and had with Spence. Spence handled that relentless pressure. He handled it. Ugas handled that relentless pressure by going backwards. Some say he won that fight. If you look at that fight, you kind of see what's going on with that fight. And if you insert Spence, a prime Spence in that position, as Ugas is fighting a defensive, offensive fight with Porter moving backwards, moving side to side, you will see that Spence has the upper hand in simply the style and the pressure. So just looking at that as a reference point, that's where I draw my conclusion.
Right. Okay. Well, very, very interesting. The plot thickens. I can't wait till this fight comes up, man. Hopefully we can call the fight live. I really do want to get with you on that fight, and hopefully we can get a chance to call it. And I think it's going to be an amazing night of boxing either way. Ugas seems to have a lot of confidence going into this fight, and that's quite good to see, you know?
True.
Yeah, so okay, let's flip the script. Let's flip the script into the heavyweight division, man.
The big boys.
The big boys. Let's talk about the big boys, right? So, the big boys are ringing the bell. The big boys are ringing the bell. Okay, so here we are. So let's talk about the WBC. Who do we have at the top of the WBC for the big boys? I know Tyson, Fury, and Dillian White are kind of draping themselves with green and gold.
Yeah, they are. They're having a good time right now.
Yeah, we got Deontay Wilder up there. We got Joe Joyce up there. Joseph Parker is a player. Frank Sanchez. Andy Ruiz. Luis Ortiz is still still looking for that big moment again. And yeah, man, that's a pretty stacked heavyweight division for the WBC. And then as far as the WBA is concerned, we've got I guess Alexander Usyk. Usyk. I love to say his name.
Usyk.
Alexander Usyk. Usyk. Look at how I say Usyk. Alexander Usyk.
You gotta say it from your gut.
You gotta get it. Yeah, it's gotta come from way down in the belly, man. Usyk. Right? And you got Trevor Bryan, who's there, who was, of course, at Don King's event, right?
Yes,
he
was.
There,
he got a new fan in me.
Yeah, he's an amazing fighter, you know. If y'all don't know him, if y'all are listening into the program and you do not know Trevor Bryan, check him out. And everybody knows Alexander Usyk. Yeah. So we got Daniel Dubois up there. Michael Hunter. Yeah, Dubois, excuse me. Michael Hunter.
The bounty hunter.
Yeah, the bounty hunter's there. And Robert Helenius, I think.
The Viking.
Yeah, the Viking. We got Hughie Fury and
the actor, the model.
Yes, he's up in there for the WBA, and then you've got Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder right up in there, right? For the IBF, we've got Alexander Usyk for the IBF, got Luis Ortiz, right? Anthony Joshua's in there. Yeah, and then for the WBO, of course, Alexander Usyk again. He's got all three of those belts. He's really draping the green and gold and the red and gold and all the
strap time.
He's got
up
the belts. He's missing one. Right? Joe Joyce, Joseph Parker, Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua, Frank Sanchez, and Daniel Dubois, Michael Hunter, Luis Ortiz are all vying for the WBO. They're all up in there. But, you know, you and I had a great conversation about the heavyweight landscape, and there were two fighters that you really wanted to talk about, and you had a lot to say offline, Harold. Let's talk about Andy Ruiz versus Wilder.
Well, just let that sink in, fans. Ruiz and Wilder. Think about that. Okay, now that you thought about it, this is what I see. Wilder's going to come out trying to get him on the end of that right hand, and he's going to be keeping him out there. However, Ruiz has such quick hands, and he knows how to get underneath that jab.
Yeah.
He knows how to get underneath that right hand and pop up right in the range to hit you with those quick hands. Wilder is not good with hands coming from some places he doesn't see him coming. He's
Yeah.
not good with that. He sees Fury didn't hit him with something he didn't see coming.
Right.
He was just hitting him with it, but he saw it coming, so he's kind of braced. That's why he was able to take so many of them, because he saw him coming. That's why he took that beating, because he saw him coming. He just braced himself. But Ruiz, he's not going to see some of them coming,
Right.
and that is going to be an interesting fight. Now we know Ruiz can get clipped. And anybody get clipped by Deontay is going to get clipped. You're going to go down. He has knocked down every man he has ever fought, period. So you can say what you want. He's knocked them all down.
Yeah.
So that will be a good fight, but it won't last. It won't last. It just won't last. I say maybe 7 rounds. Either Ruiz is going to get on the outside of something, get stuck, and they'll stop just because he's just taking too much. Or he'll sneak in on Wilder and drop him with some stuff that's just not, with some stuff that he just doesn't see coming. And we're not going 12. We're not going 10.
Wow. So you think it's going to be an early night?
Oh yes, it's going to be a great fun night, but it's going to be early for either one of those guys.
Interesting. Well, I haven't really seen too much of Andy Ruiz or Wilder. There hasn't been much conversation. We haven't seen too much video of either one of them.
Oh, this is Wizard of Oz stuff. We're just, we want to go see the wizard with this. This isn't like they're talking about it, but
Right, but I'm saying I haven't really seen either one of them. I'm not sure if they've, grown in size, if they're in shape, if they're, I don't really know what's going on with them. I mean, I would assume Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz will both be pounding it out in the gym because they are in the top 5 or 6, for the WBC and etc. They're right there. So, interesting matchup. But the matchup that I'm interested in, the one that I really, really think would be a great night of boxing,
pray tell.
Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. Talk to me about that. Talk to me, because I think that would make a great fight, and I'd love to see it like immediately.
Well, that fight there will be something that both fights could lose again, and that's still going to be a big fight.
Yeah, I don't care who loses. I don't have a preference. In fact, they could both knock each other out at the same moment. It doesn't matter to me. That would be a great fight for fans. It would be a great fight for you and I.
Right,
for sure.
right. Well, coming into that fight, each fighter could have lost again, because that's just one of those imagination fights that capture that. So you don't care if they're coming in, they just had a loss or a bad loss or whatever they're coming in, because that is something that you really want to see. Now, I haven't really analyzed that fight too much. I just really haven't. And I don't have a reference point for it, so I'm not even going to say what I'm thinking. And because I don't have no thoughts on it, obviously it's kind of tough for me to speculate at this point.
Right. So no, I definitely understand. Listen, if you're listening out there and you have a preference, if you'd like to see the Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, or if you know how that's going to go, tell me how you think that's going to go. I mean, I don't know. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear your perspective on it. And you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us anywhere you want at The Boxing Breakdown.
Everywhere.
Just hit us, DM us. Let us know what you think. When you're watching the broadcast on YouTube, let us know what you think, man, because we don't claim to have all the answers. This is almost like this discussion of Ruiz versus Wilder and Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. They're all basically like fantasy fights, right? It's a fantasy fight, right, Errol?
Well, in a sense, yes. We have to see how Fury's going to wash out with White, and and then if AJ takes a rematch, or he takes a step aside money and all that kind of thing. And with the resurgence of boxing, I think anytime these fights are even mentioned, you're going to get a lot of traction behind them. But right now, they're not really mentioned because we need to see what's going to happen with Fury and White and all of that. But once those fights have taken place, and maybe AJ has either fought or not fought, then that's going to leave the landscape wide open for some of these underlying fights that we're talking about to take place,
Right.
or at least be talked about.
Yeah, man. Listen, Harold, all I can say is I am so looking forward to the next couple of months in boxing. There are some amazing fights coming up, and I'm really, really excited about the landscape. What fights are you excited about?
Hot time in the city. Well, the ones I am interested in, of course,
Yeah.
will be the Spence Ugas fight, because I think we're going to see a relentless style. I don't think the eye is going to be a problem. I don't think his stamina is going to be a problem.
Right.
I think in his mind he already wins this fight. The Canelo fight at 175, that's going to be fun too, because Canelo is such a killer.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter how big the other gentleman is or small. Once he knows he's hurt you,
yeah,
he's gonna come get you. If you're a heavyweight and he's got you hurt, he's gonna come get you. He just has that in his DNA, as Tank has it too. I'm going to get you. I don't care how big you are. I'm not worried about that. I have that type of mentality. So he's always fun to watch. Not excited about the Charlo fight. He's moving up from 160 to 168 to challenge for all the belts. That doesn't do anything for him. He doesn't. He's beat.
Right.
To me.
Yeah. No, I get it. What about the Amir Khan versus Kell Brook fight? You excited about that one? That's going to be, I think, February 19th. That's coming up.
Well, the only thing I can see about that kind of fight is, I don't want to be sacrilegious, but you have when Ali fought Frazier, they both were deteriorated to the point where they were vulnerable and they put on this great fight. Now, I don't want to say this will be nothing like that, but you have two deteriorated fighters who have a history of the bad blood, okay? And you're on another continent where you've had legions of fans who always wanted these two to match up, right? And then you have a situation where you can have one last type of hurrah. Now, Kell Brook doesn't have to worry about getting hurt or broken eye situation like because Khan can't hit. He's not going to knock him out. So, but Khan still has the fast hands. So Khan will be touching him. He will be touching him. Now, Brook used to be a knockout puncher. He's not any longer. So we should have a long, great tactical fight. And, it's going to be great for the fans. And I think it's going to be a good fight to see. It doesn't bear any issue in the world stage, but it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be a great fight. Actually, you want to check your local listings for that fight, but I know it's happening on DAZN. It's at the iconic Plaza Monumental de Playas de Tijuana in Tijuana, Mexico. So I think I had that right. Or no, I didn't have that right. That was completely incorrect. Hold on. Watch this. Not correct. That fight is going to be on Sky Sports ESPN at Manchester Arena in Manchester. I apologize. I am not perfect.
Well, that's the venue that they really want. They want that venue. They want to bring the European fan into that. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That will be interesting.
Harold, talk to me about the Chris Colbert fight. You know much about that one? Chris Colbert,
no.
I guess the WBA, I guess it's the regular.
Tell me the principals. The principals, who are they?
Yeah, it's for the featherweight title, for the WBA regular featherweight title, right? And it's Chris Colbert versus Roger Gutierrez. Well, let's just say this. Allegedly, it's Roger Gutierrez. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I a little inside birdie told me it could be someone else, but I cannot talk about it. I cannot announce it, but
Wow. Well, that
yeah,
has escaped my radar,
yeah. But
and I can't even comment on that. But
yeah, but I'm interested
Gutierrez
to
is a
see.
good fighter.
Yeah, and the little birdie that may fight him is actually a really good fighter. So let's see what happens. I'm not sure if something happened to Roger Gutierrez or what's going on, but I don't know. Let's just see what happens. I'm putting it out there. There may be an adjustment in that fight with Chris Colbert, which, by the way, will take place on Showtime at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas on February 26th. And then, of course, this is a fight I'm really looking forward to, Harold, which is the Joshua Ramirez versus Jose Pedraza. That's going to be a great fight.
Yes, that's well matched there, and you have two contrasting styles,
Yeah.
and that's going to be that's going to be ebb and flow. You can have coming forward, going back, coming forward, going back. Both of them have the skill set to go back and forth and back and forth. So yeah, that will be a good fight.
Yeah, that's
Neither one of those fighters are stuck in a particular style. They're versatile
no.
enough to do both.
And they're both great fighters, and either one of them can take out the other one with the right shot. And that's going to be on ESPN. It's going to be at the Save Mart Center in Fresno, California. That's where that fight's going to go down. And then we've got, this is a fight that, I love the bantamweights. You know that. I love the speed, man. Speed kills, man. So Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez is going to fight Julio Cesar Martinez. And that, my friend, that's on March 5th. It's on DAZN. It's at the Pachang Arena in San Diego, California. That's going to be a barn burner. That
Yes,
fight. Yeah, go ahead, Harold.
Yeah, we know what Chocolatito does, but his opponent is just as versatile. Yeah, that's almost a clash rather of just consummate professionals between the two of those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop. I mean, the real macaronis. That's going to be a great fight. In March 19th, we got Edgar Berlanga. Edgar Berlanga's back in the ring versus Steven Rawls. And that's going to
Yes,
be ESPN, Hulu Theater, Madison Square Garden,
yes,
March
he's
19th.
headlining. He's headlining his first card. He'll be the headliner for the first time.
Yep.
He does sell tickets, but he has a nice, safe opponent who's
Yeah.
not going to hurt him or knock him down.
Okay.
He's durable enough, and we should see a few rounds there. But this is just basically a showcase to see if he can sell tickets, see if he can
Yeah.
really garner that Puerto Rican fan base and the outlying fans who appreciate his style.
Right.
See if he's how marketable he is. But he's not fighting anybody that's going to give him any problems.
Right. And so we were talking earlier on this evening, Harold, about the Errol Spence versus Yordenis Ugas fight. That's going to be on April 16th, Saturday, April 16th. That's at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. So that's in Errol Spence's backyard, I would assume.
Who does quite well with pay-per-view. He is a pay-per-view icon, and he's able to do well at that stadium in Texas. So you're going to get him mostly there. Ugas doesn't have that kind of fan base, but he's got that belt.
Right, and the straps, the WBA, the IBF, WBC welterweight titles will be on the line for that fight.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and then, okay, now I want to know your opinion about this fight. This fight, okay, let me see if I can get my...
Drum roll, please.
All right, I'm stoked, pumped, like busting at the seams with excitement for the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano fight, which is actually on DAZN, Madison Square Garden, New York City, New York. That is going to be, that's actually April 30th. I was so excited, I forgot to say that. April 30th, that's going to be an amazing fight. It's going to be an amazing card. They're headlining the card. It's for the undisputed lightweight title of the world. That's going to be an amazing night, Harold.
Yes, it is. And the scuttlebutt is Serrano has been challenged by Miss Taylor to do 3-minute rounds. The commission is good with it. The sanctioning bodies are good with it. And I believe if it doesn't happen, it's a good a marketing talking point.
Right.
It's good for the talking heads, as we are talking heads, to hash around, because there's claiming if it was 3 minutes, we could see a knockout. But women's boxing, as everyone knows, is 2 minutes. So that's going to be a good run up to the fight. As far as the actual combatants are concerned, well, we know Katie has, she has all the skills, and, she's very clean with her work and all that kind of thing. However, Serrano will knock you out. She knocks people out in that 2 minute time frame. She has a lot of knockouts in that 2 minute time frame.
Give her three. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, so if it's 3, it's going to be a little. I'm not saying Katie Taylor is. They say she's the best, which I'm not discounting that. However, if you look at just knockouts, who gets it done within 2 minutes? Katie has what, 7 knockouts, 12 wins, 12-7, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at her opponents, she has a lot more wins and a lot more knockouts, and she gets them out of there. So it'll work okay. And because we are men and men are visual, you have 2 decent looking ladies who will be attired thusly doing the run up and all the things, and that's going to be an added attraction.
Well, listen, I mean, Amanda Serrano has got 42 wins, and 30 of those 42 wins have come by way of knockout, right? She's got 1 loss, and she's got 1 draw on her record, right? So, I mean, she's got a 68%, 69% knockout ratio, right? So it's going to be, do you know who she lost to? I don't want to... Who did Amanda Serrano?
It was really early in her career or something like that. The 7th fight, something like that.
She lost to a girl named Frida Wahlberg. That's who she lost to. Yeah, it's Frida Wahlberg is her name, and yeah.
So just to reiterate, I was saying she gets them out of there. So we have to see if it goes 3 minutes. That's going to be very interesting, because they train at 3 minutes anyway. I mean, it's kind of like a long distance runner. He runs this. He'll compete in the sprints just to get that get that advantage, get that win down. So
the contrasting schedule record. Okay, listen to the contrasting record, Harold. Katie Taylor's got 20 wins. Only 6 of those wins have come by, well, not only, but 6 of those wins have come by way of knockout.
Right.
She's got no losses and no draws. Right. She's only got a 30% KO. So that's very interesting on paper. Right?
Right.
So who's your front runner? Tell me.
Well, if you watch Katie Taylor fight, she fights like a man, in that her technique, her step around technique, all that, she's very clean and precise, and she's scoring cleanly and not getting hit. That's what Katie Taylor does. And that's why she's successful, and she looks really clean doing it. Okay.
She might take some offense to you saying she fights like a man.
Well, I'm speaking of strictly her technique is very, very clean like that. Whereas, Serrano she fights excellently, but she has somewhat of a technique that is, because of the 2 minute rounds, women have to fight a little more frequent. I mean, they have to fight, the frequency has to be more, because they have a short amount of time to do their work. It's not being negative. I'm just saying they have short, so they can't. It's like amateur boxing. You only got 3 rounds, and you got to get to it. And with them, they only got 2 minutes. They have to get to it. Okay. Katie Taylor to me, she could do the 3 rounds because her technique is so clean. She could do the 3 rounds and not have that urgency that women's boxing tends to have strictly because of the time of the rounds. So a 3-minute round I would say would benefit her. And
Yeah.
so now you ask me for a front runner. Serrano, she basically overwhelms her opponents. That's what she does. She comes in and she's relentless and she gets inside and she's going to hit you more than you hit her, period. And she'll take the punches to give them.
Right.
So strictly on that type of frequency, I have to like Serrano. However, if Katie can step around it and be clean with it and keep her off of her with a technique, you know, we've got a bull in the china closet type situation. So you put me on the spot.
Yeah, man. Of course I'm going to put you on. You're on not only on the spot, you are on the boxing breakdown. You are not just on the spot. You are on the boxing breakdown. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to give Amanda Serrano my nod. Okay, here you go, Amanda. There's my nod. I'm thinking that this might be a very, very special night for Amanda Serrano. Just looking at it on paper and knowing a little bit about her style and her skill, I know that this is the biggest fight of her career. She's putting everything on the line. I think. Let's see. The WBC World Female Lightweight title's on the line. The WBA World Female Lightweight title is on the line. The International Boxing Federation World title.
IBF.
Yeah, the WBO World Female Lightweight title or light title. They're all on the line, man. So
everybody.
This is for all el marbles. This is for all the marbles, man.
And another piece of it is the biggest payday for both of them. Now, individually, yes, good money. But what it does is it opens up the door for the other ladies to start getting the bigger purses. Yeah. Because if this pay-per-view does well, which it should because of their reputations and their fighting styles, that's just going to open the door because more promoters, more networks will see validity of ladies boxing and they'll put more money behind the purses and they'll pay more money for better fighters on the undercard. So this is a kind of a watershed, not just for them personally in their pocket, but for every other female who's coming up, for that little girl who's somewhere in some gym somewhere who's the bomb.
Right.
You know, she's going to have a chance to get up there and be seen and be a household name like Tyson was or Floyd was or whatever. The closest thing I can remember was Ali's daughter. She was quite popular at the time. And she was making some millions. She was back then. So it's just a good opportunity for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's going to be the biggest payday of both of their lives. And, I mean, maybe there are going to be bigger paydays coming down the line, but I definitely think this has been a clash of the Titans. This fight has been waiting to happen for quite a while. I know that, you know, you have Heather the Heat Hardy was up in there vying for this opportunity here, and there's a lot of really, really talented female fighters there. I just want to know, this is really to all the sanctioning bodies and all of the reporting, the reporting online and news reporting, Ring Magazine, etc. I'd like to see there be some more rankings for the women that we can follow a little better because, you know, the rankings are not easy to track. You know, they're a little harder to track in the mainstream media. And I like to see that there's a little bit more information available about the women and what they're doing. And quite honestly, you know, being a tactician myself and being really interested in you know, the techniques that these fighters are using, I love to watch the women because their work is, you know, oftentimes really, really clean and sharp and beautiful to actually observe. So yeah, I'd like to see more of the women's boxing. Personally, I know there's a whole slew of people out there that really could not be that interested in it. But I tend to really enjoy it and enjoy the approach, you know, the women's approach to the sport, for sure.
True. As far as them being followed, there's not enough footage of the ladies. There's not enough reporting of their fights to
Yeah.
BoxRec and that type of thing, and that's why it's kind of limited on following them. But when something like this takes place, then you're gonna see more of that. And to your other point, it's kind of like basketball. The WNBA. Some purists don't even watch the NBA. They watch the WNBA because what you have is you have
Yeah.
the skill set. There's no dunking and all of that.
Right.
So you have to have the technique and all of that. And they said this is the purest form of professional basketball is the ladies, because it's not one-on-one. Well, it is, but it's not. You got a lot of, it's just a whole different thing. So people really enjoy that.
Yeah.
The purists enjoy that. And I can understand where your thought process comes from the ladies versus the men at times.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, Harold, man, it has been a pleasure. It has been an amazing. We're rounding the hour out, and it's just about time for us to say arrivederci or adios, or later, alligator. Harold, thank you so much for being with me. And
oh man, thank you so much, man.
It's a pleasure. Oh, as always, your insight is amazing, and it's just a wonderful time to just talk boxing and break this stuff down. And if you're listening out there, and I know you are, I just want to thank you for being with us, and thank you for joining the Boxing Breakdown today on this episode. And look for our next episode. We release the Boxing Breakdown each Thursday of each week. At least we try to be on that schedule. Sometimes we're running around doing a lot of other things here and there and here. And it's not always possible to release on Thursday, but we certainly do our best, and we hope you enjoy the podcast. If you do, share it, like it, give us a good positive review, a thumbs up here and there, and we'll see you around on the next episode of the Boxing Breakdown. Until then, peace and love, and God bless you.
Fight fans, join host Mark ROXEY and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions, fan reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title fights, state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's the Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark ROXEY.
And my partner in crime, Mr. Harold Hunt.